Hey folks, HTCG here with the Two Dons podcast, and today I'm joined with
Joe again,
Joseph McGee, and we've got some fun topics, and also we have Tommy Underwood behind the scenes, all known as
Timberly Underburton.
Timberly Underburton is Tom's nickname name for this one. I can't wait to forget that one. Episode 3.
Episode 3, yeah, it's rolling. We're getting there.
Yeah, it's going good. We've got some really exciting topics today. So someone in this room got an online tournament top. We'll go into who that was.
Who?
I wonder which one of us that was. We'll get into that. We're going to cover the OP07 new leaders that are coming out as well. There are some exciting cards coming from that. We're covering the OP07 meta, and then we're going to talk about
everyone's favourite topic at the moment.
RP lore.
Should we keep it? Should we let it go?
Yeah, I think it's a bit problematic, but we can get into that later.
Sure do.
So let's kick it off starting with online tournaments.
Yeah, so I went X1 on the Sunday event, No Heroes Online Regional. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. Saturday I went X3, so I came 55th there, so I got my first top 64 then. And then unfortunately on the Sunday, due to tiebreakers, I came 9th.
Which sucks.
Yeah, that's a bit upsetting, isn't it?
It was very upsetting for me. I couldn't imagine how much.
I think we were all really, really chuffed on the Sunday evening. Yeah. Everybody kind of thought, oh cool, this is like Liverpool second serial. Yeah. You know, you played pretty well. I lost round 3. I lost round 3 to Birdcage Dofi.
How did you lose to Birdcage Dofi, Joseph?
I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail. Essentially, I had 3 8-cost Gecko Warriors on the board, ready to swing. Mm-hmm. My man has 0 life, but he's got 2 big Doflamingos, and I'm like, geez, those 2 big Doflamingos are pretty scary. I'll play double Sabo.
Smart.
This will get me through, right? 7
Then what happens?
7 down later, and there's a Hody Jones hitting the ball. Oh! And I'm like, that'll do it.
Brody Rones, tap your sabos.
Tap my sabos.
These big scary 10 drops that you were trembling under. Cave your head. Which is funny because that's also in an online tournament like 3 weeks ago is exactly the same thing for me.
I hope it was the same guy.
I also hope it was the same guy. And I also was playing Warrior at the time, and I was like, I've got this. This guy's cooked. I've outplayed him because
you just outplay the Birdcage.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, you rest my guy.
This is fine. And then he double 10 dropped me as well, and I was like, I'm not bothered. I don't care. Everything's fine.
I have the life buffer.
Everything is fine. I have the life buffer. Low in hand, but I have the life buffer. No problem. Tap 7 done, and I went, ooh, another kid incoming. Here comes another 7-cost kid. That isn't going to save him. And he went, tap your 2 blockers, and I went, pardon, sir?
The worst part was we joked back and forth, and I went on to Limitless to enter the score, and he was like, I've already reported, and I went, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Go for a coffee or something, cry into the kettle. But yeah, either way, congrats on the 9th. A lot of hard work. You said then it was your first top 64, but you mean of this format. You've had 2 top 32s.
Well, I actually meant of the weekend.
So yeah, really good results. Just show again that like hard work's paying off.
Consistency in the tops is I'm pretty happy about it. I mean, I'll get that serial ace
one day
soon.
Yeah,
that'll come through. I think I've missed the Shanks window now, unfortunately, but we'll keep going.
Yeah, and with regards to coming 9th, going X1, which I just think is ridiculous. What are your thoughts on top cuts?
Ooh.
So this is something that we've talked about a little bit.
Yeah, see, I think in a perfect world, a top cut in an online event would be desirable. I think the better players would obviously rise to the top. I just don't know how you do it feasibly. Yeah. You'd have to have 2-day online events, right? You couldn't do 5 more rounds after 10. You can't do a 15 round day. Yeah.
Well, the reason I bring this up is because a lot of the card games I play just always automatically go to top cut. Mm-hmm. Like that's just the understand, especially in an X1, not an X1, in a best of 1 game. Like I understand not having a top cut for best of 3 because you then have less chance of being bricked or losing out because of someone topping 7 and Hody Jonesing double sabos, for example. So I in your situation, I would be extremely salty that there isn't a top cut because the way you were playing on the day was very high level. Yep. Like you have a strong understanding of all of your matchups, maybe except Birdcage. But at the end of the day, there probably was a stronger chance for you to get top 8 if it like because X1 and not getting top 8 to me is just insane. Like,
see, I agree in lots of ways, but another part of me thinks there are just days. There are just really you have good days, and I like rode the luck train, whatever you want to call it. Like I kind of rode my fortune that day. There were a few rounds that I should have lost that I won due to sheer willpower. There was one game where I was absolutely cooked, and I thought to myself, let alone winning, the only way I don't lose now is if I top the Hasabo, and lo and behold, there he was. Filtered me for 2-2Ks, and I was able to win the following turn.
Yeah.
If we had cut, and I went to a top 32, and I then had to win 2 more best of 3s, I don't know if my luck might have run out. You know, and obviously, like, I like to think I'm a good player. I like to think I know the format, I know my deck, I know my matchups, as you say, but still...
You can get unlucky.
Maybe I would have, like I've done a lot of time in offline events, bubbled at the top 32, and I wouldn't be walking home with the top 16 prizes.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. I don't know. I think I always go on the fence about it. I just generically prefer a top cut. I don't like huge tournaments and then can what feel like salty. Like I remember like Liverpool, that being a top cut actually gave me hope to continue. That was like the Liverpool region was like 5 months ago or something, even more actually.
October, November.
Yeah, many months ago. But like I'd been X1 all day and then I lost the last 2 rounds, but it still gave me hope to pull through even into the last round, is because I knew that going X2, there's a strong chance because of my tiebreakers that I can still make top cut if I win this next game. Whereas if I go X2 in a 10-round tournament early on, and there's not a top cut, there's not a lot of reason for me to continue.
I mean, I think if anything, and I'm sort of going to present problems without presenting solutions, which is something I don't like to do personally. When we look at the scores, when we look at my scores on the Sunday, the major reason that my tiebreakers were so low was my round 2 opponent dropped at 1-1.
Yeah.
And maybe if there's a different way to, what's the word I'm looking for, to calculate tiebreakers, that could solve part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But the fact that one of my wins was then just completely scrubbed from the tournament and didn't play any more games is why my tiebreakers were so low. Because I beat some pretty good players later on in the tournament, and you think it's a real shame. But I don't know what the solution to that problem is, as I say.
It's interesting because like that statement in itself to me like goes towards the argument for top cuts, right? Because that's another argument as to why I think just having best of 1s, 10 rounds, no top cut, it can be lackluster, is because of those. Like that person has beat someone as well, round 1 beat someone, so that person's going to have an even worse day than your tiebreakers were, because that person then dropped immediately after losing the second round. And I've dropped a lot from tournaments, like after having a bad day, like that one, like I just mentioned about Birdcage. Like, it's not something I'm proud of, but sometimes you're just having a bad day and you just go, today's not my day, right? Like you said about luck. So
whereas, and I think I can see what you're saying here. Because if it was a top cut situation, that person would think, maybe today isn't as such a bad day. Like maybe I can play through, win out, and...
Well, it was more as well, is that like if you do play against someone who doesn't even decide that, who does decide on it, your tiebreakers aren't as important. But I say that, and then the own argument comes to me is that this game actually does have an importance for tiebreakers in top cut.
It sure does, which is strange. Yeah,
being able to choose first or second depending on where you place in Swiss, which I don't like.
Yeah. So if I'd have placed 9th in Swiss, you're looking at pretty good, pretty positive kind of impact in the top 32. I'd probably be able to pick who goes first.
Yeah, in your seeding.
In
and at least like your top 2 of your games. Yeah, probably.
The only other thing that could be a potential solution to the problem, and I'm not sure how it would work in a sense of feasibility, or if it would even reduce the kind of value of the prizes, is in online events only. Instead of doing the top 32, top 16, top 8 bracket, etc., you do prizes based on record, like OPE did with the side event for the winner kid, where it was like, if you go X1, this is what you'll get. If you go XO, this is etc.
Yeah,
and obviously that would mean that there would be 2 extra top 8 cards flying around. but I think that would make the people who are in. Was it 10th, 11th, 10th, and 9th? So there's 3 people.
There was
who
3
went
for this one.
Yeah.
But then, like, the difficulty is, right, is there's no real way to challenge it because there shouldn't have been an additional round there because there is 1 person XO. So that is the end of the tournament.
There should have been.
Why?
There was 2 XOs going into that last round.
Yeah. But when at the end of the day, there was only 1 XO.
Oh, right, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So my argument is, like, at the end of the tournament, when there was 3 X1s who weren't going to make top cut,
oh, yeah, you can't
that's
do
still
round.
when you can't do another round to challenge that out. So that's not a fix. And my only argument with what you mentioned then is that there'll be so many X2s. Like, so many X2s.
Yeah, exactly. And then it does get into like, so what are the prizes for X2? You can't give out 70 categories.
And it waters down getting a top 32 as well.
100%.
At the same time, right? Cool. Well, a nice little chat. Have you got any other thoughts on your mind about online tournaments that you want to cover?
No, I think they're really fun. I think if there's anyone out there who doesn't, because I've spoken to a few friends who play One Piece and they're like, oh, I just don't know if I'm going to be bothered. They're fun. They're really cool. They're a good way to practice in a high like stress environment. You also get like really cool goodies for entering and just for coming like top half, which since you're playing from your own home and you haven't paid any money for travel and you're already paying your internet bill, it's just a good thing to do. I think online regionals, I want them to stay, and I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah. Congrats to Andy from our locals as well. He just did his first one, and he was a little bit nervous going in because it's very nerve-wracking, but did all 10 rounds, went 5-5. So not an amazing topping result, but a nice result at the end of the day for him, a good experience.
Like we were saying the other week, the first step on your journey, you need to do some of those experiences where you kind of get your head wobbled.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we've talked about them in the past. There are obviously teething issues with online tournaments. Like Cross AI, for example, was in an online tournament this weekend, and his PC decided to update mid-match and never stopped updating for the entire tournament. So lost out on an opportunity to continue playing.
That's a real shame, yeah.
That can happen for a lot of people. We played against many people whose cameras have cut off, for example, and most of the time that's an instant game loss. But I do agree. I do think they're definitely worth it. And I think it tackles one of the things that a lot of TCG companies are missing out on, which is just giving us an incentive to play competitively. Like, if you think about Yu-Gi-Oh, how many online tournaments is Yu-Gi-Oh having at the moment?
At the moment, not many. I think during like COVID lockdown, there was a few.
But there's a want.
There's a want.
There's
100% a want. I mean, you can see the fact that the tickets sell out almost instantly for One Piece, that there is a want. Yeah. Same with, like, I'm sure the Digimon tickets sell out pretty quickly relative to...
They did, I don't know.
Their popularity,
Cool, well, that was nice touch. Should we talk about something that's a little bit exciting for me, OP07?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the Big Joe podcast.
It's the Two Dons podcast. There's two Dons, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, OP07, new leaders.
I'm excited. I feel like OP06 has been maybe a bit stale because Sakazuki's been so prevalent and Moria is just a different flavour of Sakazuki, just the power of black. I'm looking forward to some different colours coming into the mix.
Tired of getting Poronaed, honestly,
Yeah,
I'm like happy.
You say that now, but you're going to be crying when Bonnie leaves a Don open every turn and you're like, how do I get through this?
How do I tap that thing right there? But that's okay.
But yeah, so we're going to talk about the new leaders, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about all 6 of them.
Cool, so should we start? We're getting Tomley Underboots.
Yeah, should we go in like colour order?
Yeah, what was his nickety name today?
Timbley Underburton.
Timbley Underburton. Can you give us one OP07 leader?
Cool, let's start with the red leader of the set, Monkey D. Dragon.
Oh, do you remember this? Let's go back to... I want to take you in a time machine to like 3 months ago when this card was announced. And how excited you were for it.
I still am.
I am too. Yeah.
Dog.
OP01 Luffy. Oh no, we shouldn't tell the people because we still need to buy more.
I've bought 4 OP01 alt Luffy's. I like paid £50 each. Now they're like 25 each. So I've just lost 100 lost 100 quid.
That's what you think now. Wait till I top with it.
Well, I don't know about that. Tomley Underburtons or whatever your name is. Would you like to tell us what Monkey D. Dragon does?
Of course. Activate main once per turn. Give up to 2 total of your currently given Don cards to one of your characters.
So that's 2 Don are attached to anything.
Yeah.
And then I can just go activate main, move those 2 Don to one of my characters.
Chef's kiss.
So essentially, I'm playing with 12 Don, yeah?
Yeah. But even more than that, because there's a lot of characters that are able to manipulate as well. We just mentioned the 2-cost Monkey D. Luffy from OP01.
Yeah,
DSR.
OP01. Yeah.
But when it has attached Don, you can do shenanigans, or you can just attach Don to it.
You attach rested Don to it on play. Well, on your
and that'll
main.
Start off your shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, should we explain the basic combo to the people?
Sure.
So if you go second, because that's always nice on the curve, you play the Luffy for 2 Don, and you leave him there because his dad's looking after him. Turn 2 for 4 Don, you play the OP04 Ivankov?
Yeah.
OP05 Ivankov? OP05 Ivankov. The one that plays a card from hand when it's at 7k. Yeah. So you use the main ability of Luffy to put the 2 rested Don onto Luffy, swing for 5, maybe keep him stood up if you want to do it again, I don't know, it's up to you. And then you move the 2 over to Ivankov, make him 7, play a Karasi from your hand, and then you just go...
Yeah.
That
nice
sounds
fun. Nice that, isn't it? And you get to swing really far for Dragon as well.
Into a 4k leader, yeah, seems good.
So yeah, it's a 5-life leader, which is I love pure monocolors.
On a note, all the OP07 leaders are 5-life.
Are they?
A 5-life monocolor. Yeah. Oh well, they're all monocolor.
They're not.
They are not.
You big liar pants.
Dr. Vegapunk exists.
God.
Yeah. So we'll talk about him last.
Yeah. Screw that card.
Save the best till last.
But Dragon, I'm excited. There's other cards that we get as well. I can't remember what's that. Is it called Chakra or something like that? You can attach 2 Don to it.
Yeah.
It's a 5 cost.
4.
Is it? It's like a 5 for 6, 1k counter.
Oh no, it's a. Oh God, is it OP05 or OP? It's OP05.
This is the card. Here you go. Look at that amazing editing
it's
right
OP05
there.
OP05 Shaka.
Yeah, but like it's again another option for you to be able to manipulate your Don. We've seen the 1-cost Nami, which allows you to manipulate it. In older Whitebeard decks, we had the Hirata. Yeah, which is a 2-cost that has the same effect to manipulate 1 Don. And just being able to have all of this Don manipulation and then go blah 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 is really nice. What excites me the most about this is the 5-cost Luffy, the one that is unblockable when you have 2 Don attached to it. Because you're able to just go 7, play Luffy out, attach 2 Don to it, swing unblockable, which just seems like a lot of pressure in my mind. I think
you'll be tricking people as well.
Yeah.
I think people will do the Don mass in their head and forget about the 2 that's not been moved yet, and you'll be able to squeeze out a couple of clear a couple of characters off the board, or even squeeze lethal out when they weren't expecting it.
So one question that I want to ask you is, do you think this is better than the red Luffy, which already manipulates a Don?
I think it's different.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's better because they do it slightly differently.
Okay.
So Luffy is able to gain that extra Don naturally because he attaches a rested Don anywhere.
Yeah.
This dragon needs the Don to be attached. Yeah. So you either need to play a character which will attach rested Don to something and then you can move it, or you need to use 2 Don and then move it. So I think there's the different, they both have a different home. I do think that the dragon will probably be better. Yeah. Just because I think some of those cards that can attach rested Don, we've now seen that they can have a home in this deck. Yeah. If you can't remove the Luffy and the Nami, if you play the Nami turn 1 and then the Luffy turn 2, and then you essentially have, 5 Don? Yeah. 6 Don on turn 2 going second. That's a bit nuts.
It's a lot of volume.
So I do think that the dragon is probably better than the Luffy, but I think they have they exist in a different design space. Cool.
Well, we're trying out a new rating system for new leaders. So I'm going to ask you first, what do you think on a scale of 1 star being caca-doo-doo and 5 stars being absolutely sensational, from a power-wise, the impact to the meta, what on that scale do you think Dragon is going to be in?
I think I'm going to be generous with all my predictions because it's more exciting, and I'm going to put Dragon at a 3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go middle of the pack as well. So power-wise, I'm going to go 3 because I think it can catch people off guard. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of rush cards in it, and as soon as we have a deck that can really struggle with that amount of pressure, it's going to just fall apart. I do think it's very weak to removal all of the time, and it can just run out of resources very quickly because you're just playing them on a red deck.
Until we get like a red Sabo.
Which would be sensational.
Which would be sensational.
But we do have another grading system that we're going for. Like you said, about power is nice, but what do you think about flavor? Flavor of the card.
Flavor and fun.
Flavor and fun. Do you think this is a deck that people who aren't necessarily are overly competitive going to want to play? Do you think the mechanic as a whole actually comes together as a nice deck? So yeah, give me a scale from 1 to 5. What do you think?
Are we doing half stars?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 4.5.
4.5? That's very high.
I think the fantasy of playing cards, moving your Don around, feeling like a big combo guy, that's going to be a lot of fun for people. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for me when I tried the deck out.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4, so a little bit lower than you. I think I like a lot about it. I like, in my mind, I get really excited about the idea of playing Dragon, but then I play Dragon and I go, this is actually a little bit lackluster. I'm not doing as much as I'd like to. So, but I still think it's really, really nice. I love that it's a Rev Army leader, so I can use that Karasu. I can use all of these cards. Like, I loved Bello Betty. I give that a similar thing.
And I know I don't really want to go too in depth today on the cards in the set, like the super rares. But that new Dragon fits perfectly into it.
Cost Dragon, just again allows you to manipulate Don.
And just hit with power.
Yeah, and another Rev Army card that you can search with the Betty, so nice. Cool.
So I'm a big fan of Dragon.
Cool.
Timbo, the next card?
Timbo it is. Next up is Jewelry Bonnie. 5 life leader again. On your opponent's attack, lots per turn for a cost of 1 Don. Rest up to 1 of your opponent's leaders or character cards.
That's a lot of text.
That's a bunch of text. Should I go first with this one?
Yeah. I mean, you're the one who's been talking about Bonnie for a while.
I have been talking about Bonnie. I'm having a mental fight with Bonnie right now.
Okay.
So I think Bonnie is broken. I'll be honest. I think the leader effect is insane, but the difficulty with Bonnie is I think it's extremely meta relevant.
Yes,
I think
agree. Yeah.
The deck is just in general a very, very, very strong leader effect that I think will come up many times in the future. And at any point where you need to just be able to play a deck that slows your opponent down a lot, it's going to be really solid control. When we get more staple green cards that allow us to manipulate your opponent more, then we're going to be in a good spot. But right now, I don't think we're in that spot. I don't think we have enough.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart to say that because I've been loving playing Bonnie, but like you just play those games sometimes where as soon as your opponent goes, oh, I'm playing against Bonnie.
Just go wide.
I'll just go wide. Yeah. Right? I'll just figure it out.
I think if we ever sort of find ourselves in like a term from other card games, like a battle cruiser format, where you just stick big bodies on the board and your gameplay focus is I'm going to play this huge guy. Kind of similar to how like blue, yellow queen works. I think Bonnie just becomes incredible because I played against Bonnie with purple, yellow pudding. I was just having a bit of fun trying that out and I just couldn't do this thing. Like, what does it matter if I've got a 12k Big Mom on the board if you can just rest it?
Yeah.
And then you have all these other swings that can just like put pressure on me. And then when the fact that you can just late game start dropping back-to-back Dofis and pinning my big guys down. Yeah. I just think, I think Bonnie's really good in those formats, but as you say, I don't quite think the format is ready for her. Yeah. So competitively wise, I'll go first. I'm actually good. So even though I've just said those words, I'm going to give her a 4.5. Competitive wise in this format or in general? Just in general. I think all of mine are just going to be in general for now. I think I'm going to give her a 4.5 because I see her like a Nell. When a Nell first started coming up on the scenes, no one knew how to play against it. Everyone kept getting cooked because they were swinging when there was only one attack in one life and they were just giving loads of value. And I think it's the same for Bonnie. I think if you don't know the matchup, you're going to struggle. You're going to play cards before you attack. And then I'm just going to rest them and then swing into them and over control you. I'm going to play all of these like manipulation, like Hody Jones, where I'm just going to, again, rest your stuff, go for game. And then people are going to miscalculate a lot because if you don't know the matchup, it's going to cook them. However, when you do realize that matchup, and when we get to those higher tables and we've practiced this matchup, I think that's where it's fallen off. I think that's why I haven't given it a 5, but I think it's really, really strong. I do think it's a contender. I just think there are stronger ones right now. Agreed. I think I'm probably going to go err on the side of caution and give it a 4. Okay. Yeah. But what about flavour? So I'm actually, even though I love Bonnie as a deck, I'm actually going to give this a really low score of like a 2. Why?
because I just don't feel like the leader, in my mind, has nothing at all to do with it, the cards in the deck.
Yeah, it is just a sort of generic green supernova deck. Yeah.
And like for me, we just talked about Dragon, which is bringing all of the Rev Army cards together, and we're getting excited. Luffy's in the deck. Do you know what I mean? It's his dad. like from that point, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And then I look at the Bonnie and I start thinking, oh my god, I can't wait for Kuma.
There isn't even a Kuma.
There's no Kuma. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's Kuma on the alt art leader. Yeah,
but,
I think so.
Yeah, but like from an art wise, I think it looked. Well, I was going to say it looks great. It looks awfully kind of a bit suspicious, but like I just wish there was actual flavor there. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like there is flavor. It's just generic. Like why is Zorro in the deck? Like
yeah, it just feels the same as like the old kid starter deck where it's just like, well, Bonnie is a supernova searcher already, so we'll make the Bonnie deck supernova deck. So we'll give you an Arouge and we'll give you a new Hawkins, and you know, like your gameplay wise, a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna probably flavor wise give it a 1.5.
Yeah. I do think it's caca. I would be really excited to see a really nice Kuma in the future. I think that would be nice. One thing that I do think they missed out on is they gave us a 5-cost character Bonnie in the same set that they'd given us a leader Bonnie, and that kind of just frustrated me because that could have been a different character and that flavor would have gone up.
True. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't really want to see that doubling down.
I think that just fits into like that just allows the deck to sort of function though, right? Being the fact that it shares tags, like the way One Piece is structured as a game, like if you wanted to have a Kuma in the deck, you'd have to create a whole new archetype, a whole new type, because how you search in this Kuma, it's not a supernova, you know. And I think that is probably one of the flavor failings that they have, considering that they do so well with flavor in some of the card designs.
Yeah, I think so. Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
next card.
Tom Lee Binder boots.
Well, actually on the Kuma thing, if you made a Kuma, it'd be blue, because it'd be a Warlord of the Sea.
Exactly.
So, speaking of which as well, nice transition. Next leader, Boa Hancock. 5-life leader, your turn once per turn. This effect can be activated when a character is removed from the field by your effect. If you have 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 1 card.
Can I just get a clarification? Does that have any setup? Do you need a Don on the character?
No cost to it whatsoever. Just the effect happening. You draw a card. The only thing that is kind of an inhibitor is whether you have 5 or less cards in your hand.
Okay. Go on. I just think this is great. I mean, you played Blue Croc in 4.5. This is kind of similar to that style of play. This is very like control the board, kind of keep your hand at a level. Do you want to lead with this one?
Yeah. It's similar to what we just said about some of the other leaders as well. It's like the effect in general, fantastic. Blue struggles with a hand advantage at times, especially because you've got to use these events that are removing things and you can lose a lot of tempo because you're not playing a character out.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're getting low on hand, so that becomes a difficulty. I really enjoy the idea of this leader in general, but again, I just think we're in a meta where it's just going to struggle a lot. There's too many things that are too fast. RP Law, and then we're going to talk about that in the future, but can play 2 characters out every turn.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of ways for you to be able to deal with that. We do have the 7-cost event that bottom decks to 5 costs. 6 costs, yeah, sorry, you're right. But like, you can't do that every turn.
Guys.
Do you know what I mean?
You
can't catch up with that.
And I think the Boa, right? The Boa sort of like,
the 6
does
costs?
it like bottom deck a 2 and then
Stun
stun another guy, so I can sort of deal with 2 guys.
Yeah.
But then you still have to figure out how you're going to reduce down to 2 and I'm on a blue deck, and
what are your thoughts on it?
I like it. I've not really paid too much attention to lists from the East. I've seen that it has topped a few. What do they call their events? Flagships. I've seen that it's topped a few flagships. When it comes to blue, I'm more interested in Doflamingo, so we're just going to...
So I was going to say that. The difficulty is, right, we've got this new Boa, and I want to be really excited about it. But what they've done is here's a bunch of new Warlords, because Boa's a Warlord, and every single mono blue player has went, oh my god, finally blue Doflamingo support.
Yeah.
Boa, straight in the bin.
Yeah.
Dust off the it just comes across and you're like, yee! Like, and we get all of these really nice cards, like the new 4-cost Jinbei that's come out, which allows you to play another Warlord, and then it just begs the question, would you rather play Boa, who draws you 1 card, or Dofi, who floods your board?
Yeah. And I think that I think that Dofi is so different to things like Boa. Is just like, oh, I've played this deck before.
Yeah.
I've played like Advantage Engine, like keep a hand, slowly like whittle my opponent's resources in hand, and I still have 5. But Dofi's like, haha, I'm gonna go nuts. I'm just gonna like play these guys off the board, and every time I play them with a swing, I'm gonna get effects, and I'm gonna trick my opponent because I'm gonna bounce their blocker back to their hand before the attack's actually gone through, and loads of kind of cool stuff.
It's fun. That's it, isn't it?
But
Dofi is fun. Boa is very simple.
But I think Boa's good.
Oh yeah,
I do think Boa's good, and I think, my 5-star rating of Boa, when it comes to competitively impact in the meta, I think it's very similar to Bonnie. So I think it's going to stick at another 4 again. In the long term, I think as we get more overtuned blue cards, because if we get one really good blue card every set, and eventually the deck is going to hit that like critical mass point where every time I'm playing a body and I'm removing something, even if it's like the 7-cost Dofi from the starter deck.
The bounce one.
I'm just playing this card, I'm going to bounce an equivalent card back to your hand, so you have to reset your turn, and I drew a card.
Yeah. I competitively don't really want to give it a 4. I'm very close. It's just missing something. That's my problem, and has been my problem with blue since I played Blue Croc. Is that I'm just missing something, and I can never quite put my finger on it, because I think that's something slightly changes
all
in
the
each matchup.
spaces taken up with Nami support.
yeah, literally. So I'm going to give it a 3.5, because I don't want to give 3 3/4.
Yeah,
I don't want that to be a thing.
Pretty cool.
But I'll give it a 3.5, and I think maybe in the future set 4 will become more substantial.
Yeah. My 4 is a gamble. It's a
flavor.
1.
Explain that, please.
She's a full warlord and an Amazon Lily type. So how do we play this deck? They've given us a whole bunch of 4 warlord support, and then they've also given us some really bad Amazon Lily cards, and then they supported Amazon Lily again in OP08, but again they're still not very good. So this deck is just good blue stuff deck, and that's great for a competitive player. If you want that color that you enjoy to be good, and you want to get value out of cards like Love Beam, or like Overheat, because you can overheat a 2k back to your hand and then draw a card, and that's kind of cool. But like that's not what that doesn't do what this like deck set out to do. That isn't like an Amazon Lily archetype, and it isn't like a Boa Hancock theme. Like it doesn't add up to me.
I'm going to go with 3.
Oh, okay.
Actually, so a little bit different. I feel like because of all the warlord support, I like that. I like that when I'm playing the deck. It's like all of the warlords together, and it doesn't give me the same excitement.
But would you play the warlords in here? Like how do the warlords bounce stuff? How do they remove stuff?
9-cost Mihawk. Bottom deck's a card, doesn't it?
Sengoku, search and Mihawk. This is my deck.
And I get that, and it can be very one-dimensional. But I think in general, like the 2Ks or like the Mihawk 2Ks, do you know what I mean? Like it's all the wall. Like
I suppose if you use that new lore 2K where you bounce it back to the hand to do something, you would draw, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But I agree with what you said. I think it's very one-dimensional, similar to. I'd see it as similar to Bonnie, but not to the same effect, because there is that little addition of, well, she is a warlord and there's loads of warlords in the deck. Whereas, again, we talked about the Bonnie.
Any supernova.
The Bonnie is just like
leader.
Yeah,
like why is a Rouge not the supernova leader? Yeah.
Whereas with Boa, it is a bit like gold blue, but it just also so happens that the majority of the good blue cards are warlords.
And maybe one day Amazon Lily will get good cards.
Probably.
And I'll be wrong.
Probably not.
God, they did my girl's sweet pea bad.
Yeah, they did. Rest in peace, dog card. Tom Lee Bimba Boots. On to you, Jimmy.
My favourite leader of the set. It is the 5-life leader, Foxy. When attacking, Don -3.
Let me write this all down, because this is a lot.
There's a lot here, lads. If you have 3 or more Foxy Pirates type characters, select your opponent's rested leader and up to 1 character card. These selected cards will not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. Basically, too long didn't read the purple card.
Yeah.
Do you know what the worst thing is?
Go on, hit me.
I'm going to lose to this in a Top Cut one. Right. We're going to be...
You're going to lose round 1 on locals?
Yeah. We'll go to Euros, right, in the championship, I'll have been practicing 12-hour days playing on the sim. After work, drained, thinking I'm ready. And then some little goofy goober's gonna go, this is my favourite leader. It's Tommy Bumbleboots. And he goes, yeah, it's Foxy. I don't really know what it does. Something about done minus 3. Oh, do you want to read it with me? And I go, yeah, no worries. And then I'll lose.
Do you want to read it with me?
And then I'll lose to it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Foxy?
I think it's cool. I think it sounds like you gotta sit down and you gotta see it and you're gonna go, just like Luffy and the gang do every time they fucking run into the Foxy Pirates in the filler. Like, you're just gonna go, and you're gonna look at it and I think they're gonna start off dead happy. They're gonna start playing their guys, you know, and then you're gonna go -3 and you're gonna go, all right, cool. And they have another Onigashima Galila company stage.
Yeah.
So Purple just gets these stages in every archetype where it's like tap it, get arrested, on, which I'm just not a fan of. But I think this deck definitely needs it if you're going to be -3ing. I'm not sure I was super fan. I can't really remember any of the Foxy Pirate cards.
That's what scares me.
Yeah, that's what scares me too. That someone is going to remember them. Someone is going to cook up a list. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the rare Foxy is actually kind of good.
Really?
Like, no, but like
for
the deck, it's like
in
okay.
a vacuum.
In a vacuum, it's just maybe a pre-release boomer. Maybe watch out for that. But yeah, no, I don't think this deck is going to be super powerful. I think the only thing that my only real opinion on this now is it upsets me, if anything, that Purple get these new archetypes in seemingly every set, and that just means that every archetype introduced gets no support.
Yeah.
Like you think about Galila, you think about what was the
Water
one
7.
from 04? What was the Purple set? The Purple archetype in 04? I'm sure they got a whole new one.
Clufy, wasn't it?
That was 05.
Oh.
Not that it really matters because it didn't, it clearly didn't impact on the game.
Anything.
Oh, it was Baroque Works.
It was Baroque came out.
Yeah. Kaka.
Yeah.
We did get a little bit of support.
Well,
but anyway, I forgot his name. Foxy. That's how in my mind it's not a thing. That's why it's going to catch me off guard.
Yeah.
Competitively, Foxino, what's your mindset?
I'm just going to go and say half.
Half
I think
a star.
I think the cards in it. I think the leader is a really actually kind of cool effect. That sort of reminds me of a stun archetype from other games.
Yeah.
But I think the cards in the deck, the fact that you have to play Foxy Pirates to get it turned on, the cards are just too bad.
Oh, what's the? I was going to give it 1.5, and I just forgot that when you describe the leader effect, you need 3 characters.
You need 3 Foxy Pirate characters.
0.
Yeah.
I'll give you 0 stars, mate. Do you know what? Everything I just said about that, it's impossible because all I have to do is attack any of your characters at any point, and you've lost.
Just play black.
It just reminds me of Zephyr, the Zephyr leader. Do you know that, like done minuses, which is way too big a cost in comparison to other decks where we've already got stun. So like, why would you ever play this when you could play Bonnie, which is doing similar things without needing 3 characters out on the board?
And has good characters.
Actual good characters.
Good characters.
Flavor
5.
You're breaking the scale, man.
No, not because it's an awful deck competitively.
And does that mean that it immediately becomes a good flavor deck?
No, I mean, it's Foxy, man.
Okay.
Like, everyone hates Foxy, and he's goofy, and he's like, he just has this big crew of stupid people that he's amassed, and like, that's what the deck is going to be. Like, some guy who's never played One Piece before is going to turn up for locals and be like, I'm playing Foxy, and I'm going to go, woo!
Yeah. I give it a 4.
And we're all going to laugh along as I slowly beat them.
Yeah, so I give it a 4 myself for the similar reasons. I do think I like a leader that says you must have your mates around to do things. I mean, I like it canonically, not competitively. I like the flavor. I think I like that about it. It reminds me again, and we've said this a lot, it reminds me of One Piece. It brings that bit into it. It's not just a card game that has One Piece pictures. It actually has some links, so I think that's nice.
What's next?
Bimley Bomber Boots.
You're going to see how many different versions.
I want to go with Jimbly Underboob too.
Jimbly Underboob.
This is the, so we go from one of the, let's say, weaker leaders, probably one of the strong leaders in the set. It's Rob Lucci, 5 life leader. When attacking, you may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 during this turn. Is CP 0.
This card's pretty good.
You start on this one.
Deck's pretty good. I mean, this is just the new flavour of black.
Just Saka, did
This is just Saka
without bottom.
If anything, a little bit more consistency. A consistency in a different place.
In a different way, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that,
So
definitely.
I think it takes the elements of Moria's consistency and the elements of Saka's consistency ties them together.
I'm so happy you said that because that's exactly what I was going to say. Is it reminds me of
with 5 life,
which is just really, really nice, right? I'm excited to see CP stuff coming back in. When it first came out with the other Rob Lucci, it just wasn't that consistent.
No. It didn't have. I don't think it had the power.
Exactly, but I liked the cards. I really enjoyed Kaku, the Spandam, like just another really, really nice searcher, and the ability to just put stuff back and do things was always, in my mind, really nice. I always wanted to find a way to make it work. But like you just said, it reminds me of Saka because it has a lot of removal. It has that on-attack ability to reduce, which in my mind still is the strongest part of Saka. Obviously, the rotating your hand and drawing was really, really strong, but the on-attack to just get that additional value to -1 is really nice. It's similar in that aspect because it does that -1 and then something else. And that's why I think Saka was strong, is because it did that little bit of value by reducing 1 and then did something else. And this does add something else by trashing the cards. And then it reminds me of the Moria by filling your trash with the cards that you can go into. It gives amazing value to the 4-cost Rebecca because you're able to just grab so many different things from your bin, and we get to see these really strong CB cards.
And of course, Moria has a home in it.
It's just a value engine for Moria, really, isn't it? And we've seen it, and I think we're going to talk about RP Law later, and this will definitely come up because I feel like if RP Law wasn't in the meta, this hands down would probably be the best deck.
Yeah.
I think it would be the most, because out of everything, I see it as one of the most consistent decks coming in 07 and in OP08 that we're seeing now. We see a lot of the high-level players still playing Lucci. So, yeah, competitively, what's your thoughts?
I think I just want to go for 5.
I'm a 5.
Yeah, I think I just want to go 5. I think this is one of the big dogs of the format.
Yeah, I think it's weird to me that we see Saka go, and then immediately the next set, we see somewhat of a kind of replacement.
Oh, it's like you've never played a card game.
Honestly, that is true. Actually, to be fair, obviously, like when one gang is removed, another takes its place in like 10 seconds, right? That's what they say about crimes. So similar to this. But yeah, 5 competitively. I think it's a really, really strong leader. I think it pushes Moria out a little bit because I think it just does what Moria does.
I think it pushes Moria out in the format with RP Law.
Yeah.
Because Lucci just has a much better time, of clearing 2 bodies.
Yeah.
I do think Moria is still more consistent and still has a better ability to recycle the 8-cost Moria, which in the Black Mirror I think is more powerful. But I think into a wide field of decks, Lucci is just better.
Would you ever think about running the Hogback in Lucci because you trash so much?
No.
And that hurts.
4 for 5. I just think you don't have the time to play it down.
But I wish you could.
Did we ever play the Hogback in Saka?
I know. And
I think
I always argued that.
Yeah, I mean, people did, yeah.
I was like, I never did run it. I wanted to run it because I just thought like it, especially in 07, we're going to talk about the meta very soon, but like Moria in black matchups and Black Mirrors, it literally has always been a little bit of who drew more Morias. In 07 onwards, it becomes literally only that. Did you draw another Moria more than me? If so, you won the game. So like having a way to rotate that would be
Which I think is the main reason that the viewers will know I've been playing black for a while now, and I think at this set I'm going to move away from black because I don't want to deal with that little micro game.
Yeah. Flavor? Bit of a weird one.
Bit of a weird one because obviously it plays the CP engine.
Mm-hmm.
It plays the CP9, it plays the CP0. It's kind of like a greatest hits of all those characters throughout the show, throughout the manga. But I don't really know what they have to do with CP. Like the cards in general, they're just like, it's like they just went, here's a really good black archetype. Oh, we need a type for it. Make him CP. Yeah. I'm gonna go like a 3. I'm just gonna go middle of the road 3 because it is CP cards. It all works together, but I don't really know what that is for a government agency.
I'm about 3.5. Similar to what you said, it's just like I love all of these new CP things coming in. I think that's really nice. And when we talk about flavor, that's what I want to see. But then when you look at the deck in paper and when you look at the most common cards that are being played, it's Rebecca, which has nothing to do with CP, and it's Moria.
And it is just more of like a different flavor of black power.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
Yeah.
It's new, but it's not at the same time. And then, yeah, we got one more leader left.
Yeah,
we sure
last
do.
and certainly least.
The worst.
The yellow leader, Vegapunk, most notably on this one, 2 life.
2 life. One colour, right? Just yellow.
One colour, mono yellow.
Oh,
2 life.
2 life's okay though. Oh, I can still apply pressure to my opponent.
Well, here's the effect for you. Activate main, cost 1 Dom to do. You may place up to 1 5-cost or less card with the egghead type from your hand face up on top of your library into play. So you may have 2 life, but you can technically build your life fast.
Is there any other caveat to that card?
Nope. Once per turn, activate main. The leader can't attack.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. What? That's what I mean. That's what I mean. And we've just seen that leaders that can't attack, I hate to say it, but they're just bad.
I would describe this as a buy in a tournament. If my opponent flips their leader and it's this, I go, oh, thank you so much, dude. I was actually really stressed about this round, but it's nice that you've given me this free win.
I do think so.
I'm a bit worried
if
about...
you're playing against Vegapunk in a tournament, you're probably doing badly.
Round
already,
1,
right?
though.
Okay, yeah,
maybe round 1.
Yeah.
But then I am a little bit concerned about my tiebreakers because there's no way you're winning any of the 10
rounds. I just
rounds.
can't see it, and I don't want to be one of these people who instantly like disregards an entire archetype.
But there's a level, right?
How, right? Because like I just want to look at Rebecca and Vivi.
I like Rebecca.
I like Vivi.
You know, I like, yeah.
Like we like both of them. On paper, their effects are banging.
Yeah, and you just said leaders that can't attack are generically bad. I disagree with that. I think that element of not attacking is huge, right? And there needs to be bigger payoffs, and we don't have that big payoff right now. But Rebecca would be fantastic if we just didn't have such a heavy removal meta. I think it would be one of the best decks.
You heard it here first. Rebecca's coming back one day.
I genuinely actually do believe it will. I think the value that you get from it is immense.
And the colour combo, yeah.
But what is this providing to that level? It doesn't actually give you any value.
Yeah, I mean, what if someone just doesn't attack you as well? If you're just like putting your triggers there. And
here's a better one. What if someone does attack you? What do you do then? Because when your opponent goes 5 at your 2 life leader and you go, shit. Wish I had more than 5 cards in my hand with these 2 lives. Because every other leader likes to take that first life when they've got 4 or 5. You can't do that.
No, you instantly spend 1 card to gain the life. So even if like there are some pretty cool trigger cards in the new Egghead like typing, but yeah, I don't see how you're ever going to get back into the game.
You're just on the back foot by many lives. You can't attack with your leader.
Yeah, like, there's no trigger in the deck that says, wipe your opponent's board.
In my mind, everyone in Bandai were having a little drink and they were thinking, how should we mess with the yellow players? Right, we'll give them a leader that's 2 life. They like it now, they like going down to 1.
Yeah.
And they went, that's a boss idea. They went, but they keep getting all these triggers. Oh my God, I've got an idea. So let's make the leader not attack.
And it's like, hey, we've given you a mono yellow leader who can stack his own life into triggers. That sounds nuts. Yeah, you can't attack.
Pardon?
We're going to introduce him into a black format.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, but I can stack my triggers. Yeah, but it's going to get removed. And to stack the trigger, you have to take a life.
No, you don't take the life.
When you get attacked.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. To gain the card, you have to take that hit. Yeah. I mean, in theory, there is a world like where somehow someone cooks something up where you're just always at 1 life. But I just don't. Yeah, I don't know.
What do you do when your opponent goes to play a character and you go,
Unless you just put Thunderbolt in your life every turn.
Every card is just Thunderbolt.
Do you think this was why Reject got banned, getting turn 3 rejected when you were making
good point, because you look at your hand and you go, ooh, I bricked a little bit, I've only got 1k counter, and your opponent goes, reject your last life, swing 7 with lead, and you go,
Just can't.
Let me pretend, maybe they won't attack me after the reject. I'm cooked. Yes, good point, Tom Lee Bunderboots.
Yeah, we get to sit and laugh at fucking Egghead players all day. What are you saying competitive-wise? Is this worse?
-5.
Is this worse than... I think this is worse than Foxy.
Yeah.
I think there is times
Foxy
where
can attack for 5.
Foxy can attack for 5. It can stun. And I reckon there's probably like 3 good Foxy pirate cards that you can play.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to play the
Gino.
Frankie? Ooh, to play the Frankie. Like, yeah, I'm going to go... What did I say for Foxy competitive? Did I say half? I hope I said half.
For Foxy, power-wise, you said a half. Yeah.
Ah, he's handy to keep around.
He's cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go 0 with Vegapunk 2.
Double handsome as well. Yeah, 0. Flavor-wise, what are you thinking about Vegapunk?
I don't know. I mean, are we talking like yellow flavor? It's got triggers, I guess. I just wanted the Seraphim cards to be really good and that to be a deck, and they're like it gets a bit better in 08 with some of these Seraphim cards, but it still doesn't get good because they're tied to a leader that says I do nothing.
Okay, I'm giving it a 1.
I guess One Piece flavor, maybe it's kind of high because he just sits around and thinks a lot, and that's what Vegapunk players are going to do.
That's fine, right? That's fine. You think that? You've given a leader to the biggest brainiac in the entire history of One Piece. Well, it's not the biggest, but you know what I'm saying.
He is.
Genius man.
Huge.
Genius man, right?
Yeah.
And then, for whatever reason, you've given him 0 ability that reflects that, right? You'd think that a smart person would like to have more than 2 life.
Yeah.
And he might think, maybe attacking's good.
But Vegapunk can't attack, so...
Yeah, but he's got mates, hasn't
he? He has. I mean, the fact that the deck isn't sort of built around the satellites.
I
know that they are characters, but they're not really... They're not like big hitters. The big hitters are like Bonnie, Frankie. It just doesn't... To me, I'm going to go 2. 2 on the flavor, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, they're the OP07 leaders. That was exciting.
That was fun.
I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, that was a fun format.
Speaking of OP07, wow, OP07 meta. Kaka meta.
So, like, I think that like some of those leaders that we've mentioned are probably you're probably going to see them in events. I think you're going to see the Boa and the Bonnie. Mm-hmm. You're definitely going to see the Lucci.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you want to like go into the weeds, or do you just want to start shooting off some decks and talking about them?
There's 3 decks that everyone is on the mindset of right now.
Yeah, I'm going to save one of them for last, I think.
Which one? Oh, yes, okay. That makes sense. So yeah, we'll get into that in a moment.
Thank God.
Yeah, so we'll start from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Of like tier 2 upwards, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
So we've got a really new, nice deck that I've been playing, which is the Perona Wano.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw that in at the same time is the Yamato Wano. Both the Samurai decks, I think.
Both the Samurai decks. I've been playing the Perona one, and I do think it's better than the Yamato, but you think the Yamato is better than the Perona? Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth.
I think you are,
okay.
But I have been testing the Yamato deck, and I have been enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think the Perona deck is better, but I think some of the combos you can do in the Yamato one are really cool.
Yeah, I think I put Perona 1.5, tier 1.5.
Yeah, and I put Samurai Yamato 2.
Yeah, I think sleeper decks, I think it's... You may just think, ooh, that's fun and wacky, but if you haven't played against it and you make a misplay, you're gonna get
cooked. If you don't know what you're about to get hit by and they draw 4 cards.
I played against the Lucci yesterday, who definitely thought he was in a very big safe spot. Yeah. And then I went lead effect to rest, Ice Age, double 3 cost EZO, rest 3 blockers in a turn, swing for game. Yeah. And he just went, okay. Because if you don't know the matchup, you really can't build a wall against that deck. Any other lead? Anel?
Anel's definitely back. I think Anel's probably.
I think it's 1.5.
If we're gonna have like a 0.5 tier, I think Anel's a tier 1.
Tier 1.
Yeah. Okay. I think at the start of the format, while people are still learning the new decks, people are just going to turn up with Anel, drop a 10 cost ace on you, and you're going to go, oh. Mm-hmm. I do think that we know how to play against Anel quite well in the West. So I don't think the results are going to reflect the same as in Japan. But I do think in the first couple of weeks, especially in like online events, you're going to see a few. Yeah,
we've talked about this in the past, and the difference as well is we always have a difference between us and Asia. In that, like, if you remember when Anel first came out, it really wasn't pushed that hard over there, whereas over here, it topped quite a few of our decks when like Pluffy was around and Saka was about. Like you think of Jonas from the US, who won their championship with Anel.
Because Americans are wild and didn't expect 4 Shura.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into that. We're going to start a transatlantic beef.
Okay. But what I am saying is that I think we'll be pushing it a lot harder than they will have over there.
100%. In Japan,
Yeah, in Japan. And I think we have players who've been on Anel for a long time who know how to play it very, very well. So I think that will come up a lot.
Yeah. That's
I
why
would say
think
tier
it'll be
1.5. You're thinking tier 1.
I think so, yeah.
Cool. BY Luffy?
BY Luffy, I think that's probably going to be in the... Because I think there's like 3 decks that live in the 0.5 category. And BY Luffy is one of them.
Okay. I think the very low end of 1.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's very, very strong, similar to some of the decks that we've just mentioned. There's a lot, it's getting quite actually like a big thing in One Piece is knowing your matchups and knowing how to play decks. But BY Luffy is the poster child of that. It's like if you don't know how to play against this deck, you cannot win.
Genuinely, I mean, if you attack, yeah. If you just sort of
exactly
go in
that.
and play like you would against any other deck.
But it's such a simple mistake.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the matchup, you're going to get cooked. And
I think people also kind of get in their own heads as well.
Yeah.
And they think, even if they know don't attack, comes to the mid game and you're staring down like an 11 card hand, you think, but I need to start.
Yeah. But I do think it's the very low end of tier 1 because there are cards coming in that counter it a lot. Lucci have started running the Isho, the one that rips hands, Pudding with the boa, and yeah. So
any blue deck, yeah.
Exactly. So I think it can struggle, but I actually do think it's a deck that you should be practicing against. I think it needs a lot more respect than what it's been in, and I think it could be very easy for you to...
more respect than I've given it.
And I think it's exactly that. It has been bad. It has been in a place of struggle where you haven't had these, but it's got these new cards now with the Flampe, with the list, and it's able to adapt to a meta better than other decks would from the past because it just does its own thing.
I also
and it
think
does it well.
when you see someone playing with it and they know what they can do,
Yeah.
and they do more than the Tendon Moria combo, they can do some really wacky stuff. And you think, well, they're fine. They're on 2 lives. They've only got 8 down. What are they going to do? And then they just do some crazy stuff, and the leader's 9k, and they have 2 bodies out, and you're like,
I think this is the king of hubris.
You're
playing a game and you think I've got this, and then all of a sudden you're on the back foot, and that's where it shines.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to know in this matchup when to be going for game, when to be adding pressure on, when to be putting them to the 2, when to push, like to rip the hand and stuff. And if you don't know that, you're going to struggle. So yeah, end of tier 1, but tier 1.5 for you.
No, tier 0.5 for me, like 0.5.
Oh no, I'm just doing tier 1 and then down.
So well then definitely. If we're not doing the 0.5,
no.
Then 100%, I'm putting that in tier 1 and I'm putting an L in 1.5.
Okay, there we go then. We're on the same page. Katakuri.
2, 3. I think it just falls off.
Falls off?
I think it falls
Finally.
off. Yeah. I think, you know what? You'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it, and you might even see it at the top tables on a given day. Mm-hmm. But you know how to play against it now. It's not the powerhouse it was.
No.
But I do think you'll see it. I do think someone will have a lucky day with it, hit every trigger they need, hit a beige in their last life, and then go for game afterwards. I think the fact that they've lost reject is huge.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they now can't just close out the game on that turn is what is really caused it to fall off. Yeah,
I agree. Speaking of cards that have just been hit with bans, Moria, a deck that you obviously know very well.
Yeah, I think losing the Great Eruption is going to be huge. I think it's going to be so much more than people really think because Lucci exists. Mm-hmm. Because in those black matchups, you're going to start to lose hand advantage slowly when you play an Ice Age instead of a Great Eruption.
I agree.
So I think I'm going to stick... I want to go like high tier 2.
I'm going
for Moria.
Middle to the bottom of 1.5. Yeah. I think it's very strong still.
Yeah, I just don't think it's consistent anymore.
I agree. Lucci, we've just talked about that.
I think that's
tier 1.
Tier 1.
Just tier 1. I don't think we have to say anything.
In the deck, isn't it?
Yeah. Boa?
Boa probably like 2. I think it'll like definitely do like well as store championship or a local, like a big local level. But I think you'd probably be surprised if you see a few in the top 32s of larger events. Same with Bonnie.
Yeah. Well, Bonnie.
Yeah. That's my exact opinion for Boa transfers across to Bonnie. Locals, like a locals legend.
Mm-hmm. I think Bonnie is high tier 1.5. I think it's just on a cusp of being great, just missing something.
I think it just misses the environment. I think the format's just wrong for it.
I agree with that in some way, but again, I think someone who plays Bonnie a lot and plays it really, really well can do well in this format. Honestly, I think you're just going to struggle against some things. Doflamingo has been popping up.
That was my honorary mention. That one, Blue Dofi. I think people will play that. Whether it's good or not, we need to find out. The West will definitely push that deck harder than Japan has.
Well, it actually just got a top 8, top 4
in 08. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
That's exciting.
And that gives us the sort of the groundwork to work on. I've been playing it a little bit in EVO1 for fun. Don't underestimate pudding in that deck. Like swinging for 7, you're going to take the life, they're going to drop pudding. You
just lost cards.
You just lost cards, and they've gained cards.
Yeah.
I do think people will play that. I think once you kind of work out the matchup, you'll be fine. Funny story from the Sunday online regional. I actually played against a Doflamingo round 5 or round 6, and he dropped 3 back-to-back Kaido dragons on me.
Which is scary.
And I went, I'm scared. And I still won that game somehow. So, you know, I think knowing the matchup, you're going to be okay.
What would you rate it?
2. Tier 2.
High 2. Yeah. I think high 2. Similar to, I think it's better than Boa. I think personally.
I think it's more aggressive than Boa. I think that's what matters in this format. So,
yeah, I think high tier 2.
There might be a couple of others.
There's one
Timbo.
more.
Any other honourable mentions you can think of in this format?
Other than the one you're purposely saving, no. Is there some nutcases playing any of the Baroque work stuff because of EV still?
Maybe
It's
me.
a good shout. I think low tier 2.
Yeah, I think if you want to play like Crocodile stuff, they'll probably be down in
It's a bit too slow.
Down in the maybe this'll top.
I've got a few decks.
Maybe top 64.
Yeah.
Maybe top 64.
Blue Nami, you hate it.
I don't hate it. No, I don't. I think this is the point for Blue Nami. I'm going to play Blue Nami at locals this format.
Okay.
You know how good that Sengoku is?
It is very good.
We've now got 3 searches. Crazy. The deck is now consistent to a point where it might work. And if you stick that big croc,
you're obsessed with this croc.
I am obsessed. I want to go like back to back peel off for 1 done.
Nami terrifies me because I've been playing Perona and it's very slow. Yeah. I don't know I can win. Yeah. I just don't think I can win against Nami.
Yeah, in a format where you have like black, yellow, Luffy, Enel, like other slow decks, I think Nami can like take a little step up.
I think that's where I'm a bit like, ooh, caca. Now that we bring it up, I think I am just going to try and drop Moria, and then go for game.
Yeah. I think
but I don't know if it's
do the classic advice. 5.
Yeah. But I don't have enough 5s.
That's the problem.
Rating?
1.5 for Nami.
1.5. Low end of 1.5. Yeah. I think Nami's very hard to play well.
I actually think it is. I actually think it's a misconception that Nami's like a brain dead easy deck. I think closing the game out requires a lot of memory, requires a lot of pre-planning. Every time you search, you're putting cards to the bottom of your deck in an order, and unlike any other deck, you will see them again.
Yeah.
So you need to be like putting them in an order where you kind of remember what's there, and like in the best order to draw and or mill them in like an efficient way. So I do think, and I think you see that, right? You see that when actually people do top with Nami, they're really good players.
Yeah.
And then you see like jabronis turn up to locals with Nami, and they just get cooked. They don't have the same sort of game plan.
Second to last deck that I'm going to cover, I would rate that 1.5 as well. I think I mentioned that. Yeah. Second to last one is one that I think will push more over here in the West. But I've recently listened to a podcast from some people from Japan, and they were like, Whitebeard. Why are people playing Whitebeard in OP07? But I think people are going to push it here.
I think they're always going to push it. Yeah, I think it's just such a straightforward deck that has results, that has like, just has merits to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it even gets new cards, but I think the last
gets Dragon, right? Does it play Dragon?
Would you even play Dragon when you have Ace?
I don't know.
Because it's what? Dragon's an 8 cost, so that kind of fits in that like Ace and Whitebeard term.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think Whitebeard will be seen. We'll be seeing it in 06. As the format always stabilizes, I've noticed, Whitebeard just appears again and says, haha, we found a build to like counter the meta. Whether it was like the sort of Straw Hat Control back in the day, or like the heavy rush to deal with Sakazuki.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're the main decks. Obviously, like, you know, people in the comments are gonna have their favorite decks. They're gonna be like, why didn't you mention?
Yeah, drop it below. Actually, if there's a deck that we've missed that you'd like to know our opinion on, then drop a comment. Or is your favorite deck?
Yeah.
Maybe we've talked about a leader and you disagree with that placement.
You're wrong. Like, actually, Egghead is the next tier 0 deck, and you're all too dumb to understand. You don't have the big brains.
Yeah, but tell us why.
Please tell us why.
We love those arguments. And then we're gonna finish OP07's tier list and meta talk with
arguably the best deck.
I think it just is, unfortunately, the best deck. And I think this deck is going to be a lesson learned for everyone who cried about Sakazuki, because we're going to talk about OP08 now. And how rampant the deck is, but we're talking about RP lore, red, purple lore. This came out in the 3
The three captains,
ST10. Three captains. Yeah. And it did okay. When it first came out, actually, we were in that little phase where all the red cards had just been banned.
Yeah, man knocked me out of Top Cut, remember?
Just same. And we're, like, the same guy made me lose when I was playing Blue Croc, because I just had no idea what the heck I was playing against. I think I played like a 1k Missile Sunday against it, and he just bottom decked it, and I went, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, RP Law is nuts.
It is.
It's got too much.
Yeah, it's got too much. It does. The two things that decks at the moment in this format need to do. It can play 2 bodies a turn, and it can remove for free. As in, when I say for free, I mean it bottom decks. Yeah. So there's all these like on-KO abilities that you're trying to get off with your floaters. They're just like, nah, I'm not bothered. No card represents a threat to me, and I can make 2 every turn. So if you can't clear 2 every turn, I'm eventually just going to win.
But it even does even more than just the 2 things, because it draws 2.
It does draw now because of Rage. It's literally just
it has a bunch of blockers.
And it's found that kind of perfect balance of consistency, which you see in other card games, where it's just like, this is an archetype of junk. Yeah. Like, none of these cards are meant to work together, but they do. They have, like, and I think once you hit that first Rage in a game and you start to draw into stuff, and you're just like, yeah, this is it.
Days. Now when you starve the RP Law, and then they just go, Rage you, and you go...
Yeah. Yes. I don't think it's the de facto best deck in OP07. I think it is one of the big 3, and I think you'll see things kind of going back and forward across a format. But I do think that when we get to OP08, because of the inclusion of 2 really good purple cards, which again were not meant for this deck, just push it into a realm where the payoff, again, everybody knows what RP Law does, but the kind of downside to the deck is that your Don pool is lower than your opponent. You're -3, maybe you'll get a few back. But if you're playing against a black deck and you both have to cheat out guys every turn to keep up on the board, eventually the RP Law is going to have less Don, like a drastically less Don. And that is something as a Moria player, which I enjoy playing into those decks, because I know that my hand can be small and I can still counter through things. In OP08, we get Pudding and Black Maria. The Pudding essentially just says, I'm another kid. Yeah. So if you have Kid and Pudding out, you're getting 2 Don back every time you -3, so you're minusing 1 Don.
Without even playing the card. Whatever card you play, most of the cards say get a Don.
Yeah, exactly.
Like play,
so play gets a Don. I think they've cut Iron now, because the card's just too good. And then you get Black Maria, and Black Maria is just like, you're on 10 Don, I'm on 4, I'm just going to play this and get back to 10. Well, I get back to 8 technically, but it's
broken.
It's just wild. And there is now no longer a downside to the board span.
Yeah,
because you hit and Rage your hand doesn't even get small. I can just ramble for days about how
I think
incredibly powerful this deck is going to be in 08.
Yeah, you said a few things. So you mentioned 07, and
I did. I kind of just mouth splurged.
I agree and I disagree with you. And that you said you think it's one of the best 3. I think it's the best because it has the best ceiling out of any of the other top 3. So my top 3 are BY Luffy, the Lucci, and I think the RP Law, and I think all 3 of them struggle with the same thing, which is that it's actually quite easy to brick. It's very, very easy to brick with these decks. There's a little bit of inconsistency coming from the decks that we've just had. Moria is exceptionally consistent. You see a lot of the same.
I think Lucci's the most consistent of the 3, and that's why I kind of.
But there's a lot of pieces to a puzzle in
True.
And it's similar for BY Luffy, and it's similar for RP Law. And having listened to and watched a lot of the gameplay, a lot of the reason in OP07 why RP Law is played is because it's a similar level of consistency across the board, but there's higher payoff for RP Law. Yeah. There's more chance that you're going to roll those dice and win. When Lucci rolls double 6s and gets the 12, you get a really nice. When RP Law rolls double 6s, you get the casino jackpot win.
And you're just not going to lose.
You can't lose. Yeah. And it's that, right? It's like when Lucci has every piece, you could still have somehow missed something or misplaced slightly. In RP Law, when you win that casino, you win. Yeah. And that's it. It can be unstoppable. It doesn't matter what your opponent has. And I think that's why it's coming down as the best deck. The people who put the hours in, the people who are consistently getting tops and play this deck will continue to do so and will do well with it. Now, OP08, we've just seen the CS in Japan.
Yeah.
What was it? 70% of the top cut was RP Law?
I'm not sure. All I know is that it was the top 4 were all RP Law.
I think it was 70% of the top cut So that's a top 64 or 32. Either was 70% RP law, which is just absolutely bonkers. Like, and like, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot on Twitter is like I said before about you're gonna regret the amount of hate that you give Saka, is because we never ever saw those levels of results with Saka. We never saw a top cut where
Did we not in Japan?
Not to that level. Not to more than half of the entire top cut being the same deck. And I think the problem is it's pushing and shoehorning more into a level where it's you play RP law or you may as well not go. And I don't like that.
Yeah,
that's something I really don't like about Mata. So when we talk about bans, which is something that everyone's calling for at the moment for it, which I'm on the fence about. I think this is why I always get worried about card companies banning cards, is because you set a precedent then, which is that as soon as a deck becomes slightly problematic, everyone thinks they deserve the right to immediately call for and cry for a ban. And that is just very, very toxic in a community.
But I also think, like, I also don't know if it's too soon. I also don't know, because obviously this deck is good. I'm not doubting that this deck is a really powerful deck. It's very consistent. But also, this championship is, 3 weeks into OP08?
Yeah.
And we saw how good Red Purple Law was in 07. So of course people are just going to say, oh, well, these cards obviously fit into the deck and we're just going to play for OP08. We already know the lines. The new decks people have to learn.
Yeah.
The Marco might be an answer to RP Law, but nobody's had the time to practice because they just want to turn up and do well with RP Law. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a reactionary element to people when they're calling for bans and they're kind of being like, oh, they ban the leader, ban Kid, ban Ragey, whatever it is. But maybe you just need to sort of take a little bit of time, see if anybody can adjust to the format, see if there's actually a deck that can counter it, and see if we can get like a meta that like organically evolves around it.
Yeah.
So further to your point, Joe, I just pulled up the Singapore CS 2024, the results. Top 16. There's 620 players total. Top 16 cut was 7 RP Laws, 5 Rob Lucci's, 3 Black Yellow Luffy's, and 1 Enel. The final was a Law Mirror.
Was this OP08?
OP08, yeah. So it kind of backs up what you're saying, that like they've not had time, because these are all leaders from previous sets.
Yeah.
No one's touched an 08 leader.
Yeah. And that could be that the leaders in OP08 aren't good enough, but it could also just be...
I agree with that.
You're going to a tournament you want to win, so you're going to take a deck that's already had the groundwork. You're not going to cook up a list 2 weeks before a massive tournament.
No. I do think a ban or a limit will come, but I agree with you, and I don't think it should come right now.
Yeah.
I think it should come in the future once we've had time for the meta to settle. Yeah. I don't like these reactionary, again, immediate just jump calls to, oh my gosh, a deck topped multiple. Okay, so we've had a little bit of a technical issue, so
we'll just your fault, it wasn't my fault.
It was all... Actually, yeah, to be fair, it's my fault for not setting up the multiple cameras. But yeah, big talks about RP Law. I think we're both on similar pages to it. Take some time. I do think it's a bit problematic, but hopefully we start to see a bit more OP08 leaders coming through. I want to see that Marco do something.
I want to see the pudding do something, maybe.
Yeah, I know, you've been cooking that up. It's actually been really nice. I'm really excited to see you play that, actually. So let's finish off the entire podcast by talking about one card that you would ban in OP08 right now. Go.
The leader.
You'd ban the leader?
I would.
Okay.
I think that allows other decks to use the cards that are printed for the purpose of using them.
Yeah.
And then in the future, the leader can come back. If the game adjusts, if there is like if we get to like a year and a half's time, 2 years time, where there are like 3 decks that are as powerful as this law now, they can go, cool, we're gonna bring that law back, and it can just actually slot in, and then that rewards people who kept hold of their cards from this period of time.
Okay. Mine isn't necessarily. I like choice restricts, and we've talked about this a little bit.
See, I mean, you get so I just don't understand.
So choice restrict is, for me, it's Black Maria is the problem. Yeah. But I don't want to ban Black Maria, because I think Black Maria was intended for decks that remove like the new 10 cost Kaido and Lin that just minus 10 Don. I think that's where Black Maria should be allowed to shine. I think that is fair. I think that's where it'd be good. So choice restrict would allow you to either play Black Maria or the leader in a deck, and that would be what I would do. I don't like just banning a leader straight out, because I think it's very unfair for a lot of people, and I think it like shuts down a lot of our options. Again, it's very nuclear. So a choice restrict in my mind would be, in one deck you can either run up to 4 Black Maria or 1 RP Law Leader.
Okay. And if that is a standard in other games, then that could potentially be a solution to the problem.
It is. We've seen it a lot in Cardfight Vanguard, where they'll do that, which they'll go, this one card's problematic in this deck, but it's actually useful.
But it's actually fine in other decks.
This other deck.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in useful. So you say, you can't use Black Maria and RP Law, but you can use Black Maria in kind of, or Pudding, for example, where you should be allowed to use it, where it's okay that it's a good card, it's just not very cancerous, do you know what I mean? It's not overwhelmingly good. Thank you very much for a good podcast again. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think this was a pretty fun, high energy, better than the last one.
It was better than the last one. We did the last one just after work.
After work and a plane.
Both goose. Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, and let us know
what you think of the new leaders in OP07.
Yeah. Peace.
Bye-bye.